Welcome to Grow Time, where we explore the principles to help you live a high performance life. I'm going to play an episode for you. I recorded this episode a few months ago and had planned to release it today. And just recently, last weekend, there was an assassination attempt on President Donald Trump. And as I was thinking about it, this episode that we're going to listen to has to do with what I think is one of the core issues with why and how this happened. And it has to do with standards. It has to do with excellence. What we saw when that attempt happened, what we saw was a lack of excellence at so many different levels, negligence and other things that led up to a massive gap in the security, a massive gap that actually led to almost this person being killed. And this is not a political episode. I don't ever get into politics, but I do believe that some of the policies where that have to do with removing excellence from our culture, removing standards and objective goals at like levels of excellence that you must meet from our culture has to do with, plays out in these ways. We see it. This is in one of the worst ways. I mean, this is the Secret Service, and it's not pointing fingers. Well, it is kind of, but it's, you can look at these groups that are supposed to be the most elite protection force on the planet. And you see that they aren't. And then you look at the policies that have to do with, how they got there. And I think that there's a problem in our culture, and it's a demonic thing. This has nothing to do with what race you are or what gender you are or what your political preference is. It has nothing to do with this. This has to do with, if there's a job to do, there's a level of excellence that must be met to do it well. We see this in businesses, right? We see how the goal of diversity has trumped the goal of the business, which is to make a profit, right? And it's not to say that diversity isn't good, but the goal, the objective is it requires a certain level of excellence and skill that if you can't meet that, the business will fail. And so if you can't meet that, you can't be part of it. You can't do that job, no matter who you are. And when we make diversity the goal over the actual goal of the thing, right? God made this system up. It's a beautiful system in that the body has different organs that have different functioning purposes, right? And so the purpose of someone, the purpose of a person, the purpose of a business, the purpose of a government organization, purpose is predefined. Purpose is something that you must meet in order to fulfill your job. And companies and people have confused purpose and changed it for their particular mission. And what ends up happening is when you swap out the objective purpose, like the purpose is preset. The purpose is something that you don't get to choose, right? When you swap that out for your objective mission that is not aligned with that purpose, then you fail at that purpose. And we see that, we're seeing that in business. Microsoft just fired a bunch of their DEI team. And again, I don't often get into these policies, but these policies where we put quota meeting above objective excellence, it doesn't mean that excellence can't be diverse, but it can't be the goal. Otherwise, the goal is not excellence. And then you fail And I just wanted to record this preface, this like prologue to the episode that I'm going to play, because the episode has to do with the lack of standards in our culture. And this doesn't help anyone. The lack of standards doesn't help the person that you think it's trying to help. It doesn't help you as an entrepreneur. And I would say that in order to create success, you must elevate standards across the board. In order to be successful at the purpose and the mission of what you're trying to accomplish, you must elevate standards across the board. And I think that when we saw what happened on Saturday, we saw the effects of lowered standards that then created a situation where someone almost was killed. Well, one person was killed, and that's very sad. And the former president was almost killed. And it's all because the standards have been lowered and the objective has become something that is not aligned with the purpose of the organization. The purpose of the organizations are to be the most elite protection force on the planet. And if you can't fulfill that, then you fail at it. You shouldn't be part of it. It has nothing to do with, excellence implies exclusion. So if we want to include everybody, we won't have excellence, because when there's a job to be done and it needs to be excellent, there's an objective standard. That means that most people won't hit that standard. That's not unkind. That's just part of life. I always wanted to play in the NBA, but there's kind of an objective standard in the NBA. You have to be able to jump super high. You have to be a certain height. And I am neither one of those things. And so I didn't get to play in the NBA, right? And if you look at an NBA team and you said, oh, you know what? We need to get more 5'9" guys on our teams, and we need to get more of this type of person on our team and that type of person on our team. Well, that's cool. You can do that, but it's not done. And it's not done because it would not be aligned with the purpose of the team. The purpose of the team is to win a championship. And everything you do must be aligned with that purpose. If you don't align everything you do with that purpose, then you don't win a championship. If you don't win a championship, then you fail at your purpose. And if you fail at your purpose over and over and over again, then eventually you get removed from the situation. You get fired from that job. People don't go watch your games. You lose revenue, and then you end up out of the situation. You're not an NBA team anymore, right? You lose. You fail at your purpose if you don't align your mission with that purpose. I think we see that in so many ways right now. And so let's just play the episode and go listen to it. And I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you understand that in the culture that we're in, you must set your own standard for yourself. You need to set it for yourself in your business, a standard of excellence. And excellence is godly. You know, Paul says in Philippians, he says, whatever is excellent, meditate on those things. Whatever is pure, whatever is good report of good report, meditate on those things. Focus on those things. Excellence is your duty. Success and excellence is your moral obligation in this life. It certainly is if you're a follower of God. And so I hope this helps you. Thanks, and enjoy the show. Have you ever felt like our society talks about success more than ever, but real and true and noble and honest success seems harder and harder to find? Do you watch videos of ads of people talking about how awesome they are and yet not seeing the actual fruits of what they're saying, right? It seems to me that while the talk of success and the posturing and the social media posts, want you to believe that success is more widespread than ever, the real success is actually more rare than ever. And that true success, which is not just monetary success and wealth, but actually fulfillment and missional success and family and the success from the outside, right? Respect is actually harder and harder to find. My name is Kenneth Ott, and welcome to Growth Time, where we explore ideas to help you live a high-performance life. And a big reason this has happened is that our world is fighting to remove standards everywhere they can. This is known as you do you. So this idea where success, true integrity, deep, real success is rarer than ever, I believe is a real thing. And it's because standards are being removed everywhere they can. It's known as you do you. And here's the truth that they don't want you to know. You do you means you go broke, or you're enslaved, or you don't get better, or you get unhappy, or you become unfulfilled, or you don't live the life that you're actually meant to live on this earth. And I believe that every single person is put here for some reason. Now, you may not believe that, but I believe that. And I think you can see the evidence of that in our culture. And as soon as you remove the standards, then you actually remove that mission as well. Because you do you, which is prevalent everywhere, means no standard anywhere. And where there's no standard, there's no progress. And where there's no progress and no standard, there's no motivation for excellence and improvement. And where there's no motivation for excellence and improvement, things always go the opposite way. Things always get worse. Things move more and more towards chaos. So I want to talk to you about this theory. It's really interesting. Or it's not a theory. It's a law of physics. It's called the law of entropy. And it states essentially that anything left unto itself will move more and more towards chaos unless it's acted on by an outside force. And so this is why when you don't shower, you start to smell. You know, why when you don't clean your house or you don't touch a room for years, right? It gets dusty and moldy, and, you know, animals dig in, and, like, you know, bugs are everywhere. I've actually, a quick story. I just recently looked at a house here, a building to invest in, and it just hadn't been lived in, or there was been nobody in it for about 3 months. You go into the basement, and it's literally covered in mold, right? There's water everywhere, and there's black mold everywhere. It has destroyed the house. The whole thing had to be knocked down. And this happens because there's a law in physics that says things that are not cared for automatically move towards chaos, right? So when you don't care for your business, it's why it slows down. It's why it gets less profitable. It's why your health gets worse when you don't tend to your health, when you take the easy path, right? This is all part of this law, and it's part of God's law that he wove into the universe. Now, you may not believe that, but I do, all right? So since this is my podcast and not yours, I'm going to share a little bit with you about why I think that that's important. There's 2 verses in the Bible that I'm going to pull out. Many verses speak to this. But the first one is this. It's in Matthew 6, and it's verse 19. It says, "Do not lay up yourself treasures on earth where moth and dust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but lay up for yourself treasures in heaven where neither moth or dust destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also." Now, that's not saying that treasures on earth are bad. It's simply saying that treasures on earth will get corrupted by stuff, okay? And here's the thing. You do you, no standards are corrupting all of your potential and all of your potential treasure here on earth, all right? Chaos theory is real. Another verse that's really important that I love is in Philippians. It's Philippians 4:8. It's before the verse where there's all that that's on all the bumper stickers. It's before Philippians 4:13, which is I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It's before that. It says, finally, whatever is true, and this is Paul talking, by the way. He's a letter to a church, right? So he's telling them how to be excellent. By the way, Paul was like an excellent person, right? He had lots of success that you don't read about, but he had lots of success. All right, so it says, finally, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. The important thing here is that he's saying is not only do things get corrupted if you don't create a standard, but a standard is godly. A standard is important. In fact, a standard is necessary for all of us. And so if there's anything admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy, make that your standard. Look at those things, model those things. Standards are critical principles to success. They are woven into the universe. And people in our culture may not like that. But the fact is that they're for your benefit. All right. So some people think that standards are unfair. Truth is that standards are for you. Some people think that standards are not kind. Truth is that standards are the kindest thing for you because, again, the easy path leads to the miserable life. I did a whole video on how the easy path, the formula for a miserable life is the easy path. And that's something a mentor of mine says. And I did a whole video on the idea that the hard path is actually the way to get the easy life in the end, right? A standard is for your benefit. It is the kindest thing and it's for your benefit. It's funny here. So the whole you do you movement or the idea that there needs to be a lack of standards and how that's a good thing, it's a lie. And that's the goal of this, is to help you realize that you need to set standards for yourself. You can't follow that. So it's funny I'll tell you a quick story. I was doing, I do weight training, and then every once in a while I want to I do a ton of cardio, but I want to keep my heart health healthy. And so I'll use Apple Fitness to do that, right? And so I'll do their Apple Fitness cycling workouts. And so I get on the cycle, I punch in the Apple Fitness thing and I bring up the video, right? And it's like a 10-minute ride. A 10-minute ride is not that bad. It shouldn't be that bad, right? It should be like 10 minutes of all out, and you could still do that, right? So I would say to get a workout in 10 minutes that's worthwhile, you kind of need to push yourself really hard, right? What was fascinating to me, and this was actually the whole idea of how I started to think about this concept, or one of the reasons. What was fascinating to me is the instructor kept saying, hey, now we're going to go from easy to hard, right? I'm going to go all out for 30 seconds. And it's so we're going to do it standing. But then they said this, but you do you. And I thought to myself, if I wanted to do me, why would I be here watching this workout video of you pushing me to do what you're doing? That makes no sense at all. How can you do you in a workout scenario, or me do me in a workout scenario, actually make me better, right? Isn't the reason I'm here so that I don't do that? Because I've been doing me for the last however long. I'm here because I need me to do you. The idea of you do you especially in a workout scenario is so silly, right? It's a recipe for not achieving your goals. It's also a recipe for ruining your business if it's in a business scenario. It's a recipe for living a mediocre life that probably even leads to poverty in a normal life scenario. And it's because standards are important, right? We praise excellence as a race. The human race is unique in that it praises excellence, right? Excellence is admirable. It's a mirror of God. It's actually godly, as I read from what Paul wrote and many other places. Excellence is important. And when we put models of people that are average or images of people that are sub-excellent in an attempt to make everyone feel included, we're actually killing the motivation that has driven people and us to excellence thus far. So let me get more specific. Like, there's this push to make sure everyone feels included, but the challenge with that is that you're actually lowering the standard. I'm not saying that you're excluding people is good, but when I go to a workout scenario, I want to get better, right? And so if the standard is me where I'm right now, I'm not going to get better, right? And so when we start to create images, and companies put out images, and governments put out images, and culture puts out images of non-excellent things as if they are trying to make everyone feel good, it's actually hurting everybody. And for you, the high performer, it might actually be hurting. If this idea is seeping into your business or in your life, I believe that it's hurting your potential, your success, and who you're supposed to be. Maybe even your mission in life. Maybe this is even hurting and destroying the plan and the purpose and the mission of so many people, and they don't even know it. And so you do you implies that everyone has their own standard. And if we suggest in our current society that everyone has their own standard, then that actually means there actually is no standard, right? When there's no standard set outside of me, the individual, that requires me to hit an excellent level and create excellence, right, in order to match it, then there's no motivation for growth, improvement, and excellence in my life. And then, because we're business owners, because we're highly ambitious people, you're not going to grow and actually achieve anything and build any wealth and be notable for anything and be the best at everything. Like, you're not going to get any of those things. And this exists in life and exists in business. And if you have no motivation to achieve a standard, then everything actually goes in the opposite direction. So here's the challenge with this. Here's the dangerous thing with this. If you have no standard, or if the standard is set at a level that is average, which means it's not a high standard, then not only do you not progress, but everything actually goes in the opposite direction, right? This is that law of entropy, right? Because there's nothing, you're not acting on it with an outside force. And so it's actually moving towards chaos. And we can feel and see that things move towards chaos right now. Things in our culture, things in the economy, because the standards have been lowered, are moving towards chaos. And I'm not someone that I really generally don't like to focus any level on negative ideas or conspiracies or things that might happen and could happen. So this has nothing to do with that. But if you just observe the results of the lowering of the standard equaling the average, which is not really a standard. If you observe that and then observe the results of that, you can see how, and this goes back to my intro, how it looks like there's so much success on the surface, how you can see all this posturing on social media and talking. But when you dig underneath the surface, you realize there's not true success in many places, right? And so if you want to become the person that is very successful, that lives the mission that you're called to live, and that becomes an excellent version, then you have to set your own standard. Like, it used to be that there are standards set for you. I would suggest now you have to start your own standard. I want to carefully talk about a couple examples that may seem harsh, but I think they seem harsh because there's this idea that it's kind to not have a standard. And that's not true. Like, I grew up in a very poor area. I grew up with a very low income. My dad was a pastor in downtown Brooklyn, and our family lived and served in that area. And so we didn't have very much. And so one of the things that drove me to have a mission, a vision, and success in life was an outside standard. I couldn't exit that unless I leveled up to a certain level in order to exit that, unless I built a certain level of excellence and skill and all the things that kind of are required to hit a standard. That is actually what helped me improve to create some level of success. And it's funny to me, I was talking with someone recently about the idea of affordable housing. And I'm not against the idea of making things available, right? Making sure that we're not excluding people is probably a better way to put it. But I think one of the challenges with some of these ideas, like affordable housing or quotas that have to be met by colleges, or quotas that have to be met by companies hiring certain people. One of the challenges is that you are removing a standard that actually is what helps propel people to become better versions of themselves, better at what they do in order to achieve those things. And so while it may seem kind, it actually unravels, because when you lower the standard, right, then you actually you don't only hurt the people that are not getting the growth and motivation required, because it's hard. Like, the hard up front is how you get the easy later. But when you make it easy up front, it's hard later. So if you make it easy for someone, that may seem kind, but it's actually unkind, right? And I've experienced this. When you do these kind of things, then you also lose the people who have come through and have done the hard things and achieved those things. They actually don't want to be around, right, the people that didn't have to, right, because they perform at a different level. And I'm saying this is across all races, ideas, ideologies, all those kind of things. It's just a human thing, right? And so when you lower the standard, you hurt everyone. And what seems kind is actually unkind. You know, I've talked about my kids many times. It's interesting to me how when you are parenting a child who you love with all your heart, when you're parenting them, the easy thing would be to not punish or not create consequences for things that happen. That's the easy thing. Like, when my kids do something, we try and be really clear about, and I'm trying to help them achieve what they're supposed to be achieving in life, right? And so when they do something that they know is wrong, that weren't supposed to do, there's a consequence. Sometimes that consequence affects me, right? Because hey, we were going to go do this fun thing. Now we can't. Or we were going to watch this sports game and now we're not going to. Or we were going to play, Super Mario Brothers, and now we're not going to be able to. And I wanted to do those things, right? Here's the challenge is, when you're parenting a child, the hard thing is to enforce a consequence. And the consequence is not the important thing for the sake of this conversation. For the sake of this conversation, that consequence equates to a standard. A standard wasn't met. And so there's a hard thing, right? Which is we can't do what we're going to do because we didn't hit the standard, right? And that's hard up front, but it creates a situation where it's easy later, right? And I believe that's what God does for us. And that's also what society modeled after the righteous laws of God can do for us as well, but it's not. And the removal of the standard is actually the opposite. It's actually the negative. It's the enemy. It's the evil. It seems kind, but it's evil, because I talk to my kids about this all the time. They say, why are you enforcing this consequence? You have the ability and the power to not do that. I say, I know. And it really stinks because I really wanted to do this thing. But here's the deal. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't have enforced this consequence. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't have held a standard. But because I do, I'm holding that standard. Because it would be the equivalent of unkindness or not loving you to just do the easy thing and be like, yeah, no problem. I don't want to deal with like enforcing this punishment. Or I said that you couldn't do this and you did it anyway, but we're just going to do the thing anyway because I want to do it. And it creates no growth in the child. The reason that I enforce those standards because I love them, and I believe that is also the model that we have to play in the world. Like we're made to hit a standard, and standards improve us as business owners, as leaders, as entrepreneurs, as family people. They improve us. And so when you remove standards, like let's say you let, it's hard to live in certain zip codes of the world, right? It just is. If you lower the standard, then those zip codes go down. Like people won't want to live there. And here's the thing. It's not about the value of the zip code. It's about the things, the improvement that you have to make to get into that zip code. And I'm just using that as an example. Zip code doesn't really matter. But without that, a lot of people wouldn't grow. There wouldn't be a lot of achievement. Excellence comes from a standard and then leveling up that standard. That's how we build businesses, right? We set a revenue level. We hit that revenue level. We set a profit level. We hit that profit level, right? When we hit that, what do? We don't lower it. We improve it. We go higher, right? We optimize it. In the same way, that standard is a certain level for our society. We don't lower it. We don't tell everyone, have your own standard. We don't tell everyone, you do you. That's not going to lead anywhere. That's not going to lead to improvement. If you have a coach that says you do you, fire that coach. If you have a workout instructor that says you do you, fire that person. Because you're paying them for the standard, because the standard helps you. Anytime you remove motivation, anytime you remove improvement, then you will have a vicious cycle that unravels everything. The people that have achieved those things will leave, and other people won't achieve anything, and they won't grow. And everyone will lose. The people you think you're helping will lose, right? And then people that want to improve won't want to be around people that don't want to improve. And so they'll leave too. So let's talk about mentorship. I believe you need to swap you do you, or the no standard mentality, or the I have my own standard, for mentorship, right? People don't want a hand down. They want a chance to learn and grow. And killing the hunger of growth is the fastest path to destruction. So choosing the easy road is the recipe for a hard life. And again, you can watch that video where I talk about that. It's completely separate if you're interested. And this is why the no standard model, the you do you model, is evil. And standards are kind, they are loving, and they are godly. Hopefully, this helps you understand why you do you is silly in every possible environment, right? And why a standard is critical for success. And the society in our culture is not going to set that for you. So if you follow them, you will lose. You must set that for yourself. You must set that for the people that you lead. That is how you will be successful. That is how you will build a business that is massively successful. All right. And you don't have to agree with this. It's part of God's kingdom. It's a law woven into the universe, right? And the world isn't going to set it for you. You have to set it for you. All right. And here's the good thing. 99.999% of people will not set it for themselves. So they're going to spiral down while you spiral up. All right. And the gap is just going to be so big. All right. So here's 7 steps. Here's 7 things that you could do to potentially implement this in your life. All right. And so hopefully this helps you. All right. Number 1, set objective standards for excellence in your life and your business, and set these for yourself. I would even say set them as greater. So here's a great example. In general business terms, like a lot of people like to see 20-ish% profit, right? For me, I want to see 40, 50, 60% profit. All right. So that's the standard that we set, right? For the different businesses, right? And I set my standards higher than even what is naturally assumed as the standard. So that's something, the first thing is set standards of excellence for yourself in your life and in your business. Number 2, hold yourself and others accountable to these standards. Holding yourself accountable is critical, okay? And this has to do with doing what's hard now. This has to do with delayed gratification. Again, you can go ahead and watch that video on hard now, easy later. But when you can set a standard for yourself and not give yourself gratification if you do not hit that standard, right? Which is very important, and require yourself to hit that, and then require the people that you lead to hit a standard. You may think that that's hard. You may even think that that's harsh, but it's kind. And if any one of you is a father or mother and you have kids, or anyone that you care about and love, that like this is really obvious to you, right? You need to set standards for yourself and others and hold them accountable. Number 3, reward excellence. And so not only do you celebrate it, but you reward and recognize and incentivize those who consistently meet and surpass the standards, right? Make excellence one of your core values. Now, do it for yourself too. Reward yourself for the excellence that you create. This is critical. I actually did a video on this, a whole nother episode on how to reward yourself. And twist, it's actually not what you think. It's not when you hit a goal, all right? So you'll have to watch it if you're interested, but reward excellence. Number 3. Number 4, continually raise the bar. So optimization is key, right? A standard that you set now, you meet it, and you set another one. Now, here's the thing. If you've ever read 10x is easier than 2x, or if you haven't read it, you should read it, because you might want to consider setting a standard that is so high that makes it easy for you to see only one path to getting there, right? That may not be the easiest path, but it might be the most valuable path. But you need to continually raise the bar, not just a little bit, a lot, all right? So that's number 4. Number 5, lead by example. As a leader, you can't set a standard for other people and then a standard for yourself that you don't meet. Now, I want to be clear. The standard for other people is different than your standards. Like it has to be. Like there are different roles. There are different outcomes for what you're trying to do. And so, but you must hold yourself to your standards. It's funny how trust and confidence actually comes from your ability to trust, and your confidence comes from the trust in yourself. Like the people that don't trust are the people that don't trust themselves, meaning when you say you're going to do something, you don't do it, right? That hurts you more than you know. And I used to be like that. And it hurt me a ton until I realized that I need to set standards for myself and exceed those standards. And that will actually help me set standards for other people and lead them as well. All right, number 6, train people and lead people and give them resources. And so you can't just set a standard and not equip them, right? You must set a standard that then you can help disciple them through, like lead them through, mentor them through, and then give them the tools that they need. So for example, I've seen many people say, hey, this role in my company, this is the standard you need to hit, but you don't have any money, you don't have any resources, you don't have any team members, and you don't even have the skills to do it. So if you set someone else up for failure, including yourself, like you will fail, and it won't be what you want. And so set yourself and others up for success. Now, that doesn't mean you need to make it easy for them. Simply means you need to not chain them down or yourself down, right? Set yourself up for success. Don't make it easy. Set yourself up for success. And lastly, you have to hold people to the standard and yourself. So underperformance, bending the rules, lowering the standard, being all inclusive for the sake of all inclusive, I believe is one of the things that kills success, excellence in businesses. And that may sound harsh or unkind. It's not. I don't think you should remove or exclude it intentionally. But lowering the standard hurts all involved. Every single person. In fact, it has probably more impact on our overall society than you even think, but it certainly kills your business. And so if people are not hitting the standard, the loving, kind thing to do is to address it, help them hit it, right? Give them the tools, mentor them, and if needed, make all the tough decisions, including with yourself. I've gotten to the habit where I set consequences for myself if I don't do certain things. Or if I do certain things. Like if I eat wrong over the weekend, because I don't want to, I shouldn't be. If I do, then for me, I actually fast more during the week. Like I limit my meals. And it's not like sadistic punishment. It's just, I know that like you got to set consequences to keep things in balance for yourself. Like that's important. So you're doing it for yourself may be the hardest thing for you. You got to do it in kindness, obviously, with yourself and the person's best interest in mind. Okay, so look, hopefully this helps you understand why embracing the cultural concept of you do you, which is AKA no standard so embracing that concept in your business, in your life is basically a recipe for mediocrity at best and most likely complete chaos in the end. It's a recipe to lose. Everyone involved loses. To achieve success and excellence, we have to set and adhere to high standards that are always growing and improving for ourselves and our organizations. And this is not being unkind. This is actually the kindest thing you can do for other people and for yourself. People are fulfilled when they're challenged and they grow. So by rejecting the standardless ideology in our society, the no standard mindset, the you do you mindset, by rejecting that and committing to standards of excellence, we can actually create growth, a culture of growth and businesses that grow, and create massive gaps between the rest, you and everyone else who believes the opposite. Because the opposite leads to destruction. It just spirals down for everyone involved. And so I hope this helps you take action on establishing this and holding rigorous standards in your life and your business so that you can actually make winning a byproduct and actually amplify your winning by multiples, right? By having a standard for yourself. I hope this helps you live out a high performance and a successful life. For more tips like this from me or to work with me, visit kennethott.com or kenott.com. That's KENOTT.com. And until next time, thanks and never stop growing.